This week on the Stogie Geeks Show, we are joined by two special guest co-hosts, Hector Alfonso Sr., the Factory Operations Director for Espinosa Cigars, and Mr. Dave Burke of the Cigar Jukebox. We'll talk Espinosa Cigars. In our Debonair Ideal segment, we'll talk about Halloween smokes. We have a special Hot Topics segment, which you're not going to want to miss. And we go through our smokes of the week. So stay tuned.
This is a Security Weekly production. To you by paying homage to the Mecca of tobacco, Pinar del Rio, Cuba. Abe Flores opened his PDR cigar factory in the Dominican Republic over 10 years ago. Abe is one of the hottest boutique cigar makers in the industry today, earning the number 10 spot on Cigar Aficionado's top 25 cigars of 2014 with the Abe Flores 1975 Serie Privada. Abe and his team use Cuban blending traditions in a modern boutique Dominican factory. Smoke PDR cigars and cut, light, and taste what they love to do. M. Bombay cigars represent the most admired cigar culture of Cuba. They select the best of the best quality tobacco to use in the aging process. M. Bombay cigars are then rolled in Costa Rica by some of the most experienced cigar rollers, giving it a unique smoking experience. The band portrays the detailed and artistic nature of our small industry. Try the M. Bombay Casera, M. Bombay Mora, and the recently released M. Bombay Habana. M. Bombay Cigars, where the cigar is a way of life.
When we review or report on something, we don't want there to be any guesswork. We believe the information must be accurate, and it has to be reliable. For what we review, the goal is hopefully to educate our audience, and at the same time, an equally important goal is in turn to get educated ourselves. What we want to do is earn the trust of our audience, and to do that, we ensure what we report is accurate, rumor-free, and teaser-free. The premium cigar industry is so dynamic, and every day brings something new. We wanted Cigar Coop to be an extension of that experience, so it has to be 365 days a year. We wanted to create a true media ecosystem and integrate Cigar Coop with the power of our Stogie Geeks programming network.
Welcome, everybody, to the Stogie Geek Show. This is episode 207 on this October 31st, 2016, the special Halloween edition. I'm your host, Will Cooper. I'm from Studio C tonight in North Carolina. And we have Mark Riley and the crew up in the Villiger North America studios in Rhode Island. Paul tonight is not here. If folks know Paul Asadorian, his favorite holiday is Halloween, and he has to go trick-or-treating. And that's not a joke. If you saw our anniversary show last year, you know, he's very, very much into the whole Halloween season. He does some incredible decorating around his host, and he's got 3 wonderful boys. I'm sure he's having a great time with them, going door to door, trick-or-treating. But we're not alone tonight, because we have 2 special guest co-hosts tonight, who actually, it's funny because we've worked together before, kind of on the Cigar Jukebox show. We have Mr. Dave Burke of the Cigar Jukebox, who has come on the show from time to time, as well as filled in, and we have Mr. Hector Alfonso Sr. Of Espinosa Cigars. Hector, Will Cooper, in North Carolina. How you doing tonight? Dave, how you doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing good. I'm talking to you from Espinosa Central headquarters here in Hialeah Gardens, and happy to be on the show. Glad you considered me, and it's always an honor to be on with you. Good also to see my friend Dave in Australia.
Absolutely. Dave is coming from. Absolutely. So yeah, Dave is about 10,000 miles away. Is it actually November 1st there?
It is 8:30 in the morning on November 1st.
Yep, and I believe I saw something at your wife's birthday today. So very happy birthday to her.
Oh yeah, I'll let her know. Yeah, it's her birthday today.
Yep, absolutely. So, Hector, Dave, and I we just did a segment probably about a month and a half ago on Cigar Jukebox, which is Dave's podcast where he brings together the world of cigars and music, which the three of us are kind of real fans of. And we actually did a tribute to the band In Excess. It was probably one of the most fun podcasts we had. I thought there was some great chemistry with the three of us, and I thought it was a great idea to have them as our guest co-hosts tonight. So welcome, guys.
Thanks for having me.
So
yeah,
I
thanks,
guess
Will.
Absolutely. So before we get started, what are you guys smoking tonight?
Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
I am smoking. Oh, yep. I am smoking the Jekyll, the Monster from Tatuaje. It was sent to me by listener Brett Smith, so I could have it. Trying to team with the Halloween theme here, and I got the Jekyll, which out of the Jekyll and Hyde releases, it's my favorite of the two.
Totally agree. It was Jekyll and Hyde for me with both of those, literally. With Jekyll being the one that was a hands-down winner.
Yeah, you caught me between cigars. I had just put down a cigar that we do for Anthony Renzulli at Twin Smokes. Little store brand, not a little store brand, actually a store brand that we're doing for him that he's putting in production that he just released a couple of weeks ago. I think Eric was at the debut. And now I just lit up another store release we did. It's called Cream City, which was our first adventure. Our first adventure with Honduran tobacco. We released it for Paul Groh at Metro Cigars, and it's a very nice cigar. I'm very, very fond of the cigar. I love the cigar, as a matter of fact, and I think he's done very well with it. So it should last me at least halfway through the show. I've got another little special cigar sitting there in case we run long.
Absolutely. I actually smoked that cigar, and it is what I liked about it was, Honduran tobacco sometimes to me, and we've talked about it, Paul and I on the show, it sometimes has a drying effect on the palate, but no such thing I thought with that cigar. And I love the packaging that you guys did, and the logo you came up with that. It was just,
and the name was cool.
The Cream City.
Yeah, there's a little historical background with the Cream City, and Paul loved it, and he's very happy, and he's an old friend of Eric, so. That's super important in anything we do here, the relationships that he's established. So,
what's the store again for folks who may be interested in that cigar?
Metro Cigars
in Milwaukee. Yeah, I would definitely say if you're an Espinosa or just a cigar fan, check that cigar out. It really is an excellent cigar, and I'd say it's, like I said, it's something a little different, is what you'll say. So I think you guys did a tremendous job on that cigar.
Thank you, Coop. I appreciate it. What are you smoking?
Babyface by the Little Monsters. So fantastic cigar. Actually, I just smoked the skinny face of this blend, and it's the skinny face actually is a much more amped up version of this face blend. But I'd say the face blend probably is one in my top 2 or 3 of the Monsters. Anyway, so we're gonna do this first segment. We're gonna go through a little bit of what's happening at Espinosa Cigars. Hector, for folks in our audience who might not know your role at Espinosa Cigars, why don't you give us a little background on that?
Well, for Eric, I'm the factory operations manager for Eric. I handle the factory, take the trips to Nicaragua. We order cigars, work on new projects. We do blending, and also in the last 6 months, also in charge of what we were going to have ready for the FDA prior to the drop dead date for the FDA there. So my hands have been pretty full here. We've been very busy, and my hands particularly have been very full here at Espinosa. But
Absolutely. I mean, I actually paid a visit to. I was down there back in the end of March, and you guys were busy before the
and,
FDA. I mean, and now obviously FDA comes in, and I'm sure
sure.
we're going to talk a lot about FDA tonight. But yeah, you
Well,
guys.
sure. The FDA, the timing was awful because we just came back from the show, so we were looking at coming back from the show at the very end of July and having 10, 11 days to make sure that everything that we had prior to that August 8th date was out and in stores, and people had it in their hands, and people smoked it, and stores got it. That was very important. So he let me run with that because, to be honest with you, Eric's the face of this company, and this company, everywhere we've gotten, and as far as we've gotten in these 5 years, we've accomplished it on his back. So his forte is to sell. I mean, I really think he could sell anything to anyone. So he's out there selling, and we're handling all the ancillary duties are handled here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just a great. Actually, when I was down at Espinosa, it's actually a really great kind of. That's their headquarters down in Hialeah Gardens. It's just an awesome place to go to. By the way, Lozona Palooza was fantastic. Even though Hector and I hid in the back and smoked cigars, but
I did the best I could with the time. I did the best I could with the people that were here. I did. You saw me. I shuffled them in 4 or 5 at a time. Sat down with them. Gave them something special, something that's something that was a blend, not necessarily a brand yet, and talk to them, and that worked better for me than being in the back with 80 people. That just it's just not I'm just not good at that. I don't excel at that. So why put myself in a bad spot where I could likely say the wrong thing? So bring them in here, close the door, turn the fan on. And and they were happy. Everybody seems happy. And when I wasn't looking, Coop was in here. And he smoked everything. Everything I gave him, he smoked. He smoked a lot of stuff prior to coming out of the show. So he was you got a first glimpse, and you deserved it because you've been a good friend to us and a good friend to me personally. And I can't think of anybody else I would have wanted to try some of that stuff firsthand.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, I mean the feeling is mutual as well. I mean I've just. I go back to, I remember, Hector, the first time I met you, and I don't know if folks know the story, but I'll tell it. I was actually in West Palm Beach, actually at Boynton Beach, and Abe at Smoke Inn was doing a launch of a cigar you did for him called the Bunker Buster.
That was my very first cigar.
Yeah, so I'm smoking the Bunker Buster, right? And Hector comes up to me. Now, I did not know who Hector was, and he's kind of picking my brain about this cigar, right? But I did know Hector I did know Hector's name, but I didn't realize I was talking to Hector. And finally, he introduces himself as Hector. Yeah, I blended that cigar. I'm like, thank goodness I liked it. It was all I was thinking. Because
I wasn't quite sure after the first 2 or 3 questions. I had to go in a little deeper, but yeah, I was happy because I knew who you were. I mean, I had the advantage was in my court. I knew who you were, so I figured I could just come up to you and ask you what you thought, and I know you weren't gonna bullshit me. You were gonna be honest, and that's what I wanted to. I was gonna ask you if it had Honduran tobacco in it, but I didn't. I wasn't ready. We weren't ready for that yet.
But you yeah, that's an inside joke.
It's a very inside joke. I'm gonna tell that story one day. I can't tell it right now, but one day I'm gonna tell that story.
Yeah, for folks who know, Hector, Honduran tobacco. Basically, it is the Cream City MKE is the Honduran tobacco cigar that Espinosa has. We'll just kind of leave it at that.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. So anyway, we were in the, obviously when I was at Lozona Palooza, and Hector, in all fairness, he really was very open to a lot of myself and a lot of the attendees there. He kind of had these mini breakout sessions, I like to call it. And actually, I got there early, and Hector handed me a cigar, a Connecticut Shade cigar, and he goes, "Here, smoke this." And he told me it was going to be one of their flagship releases at the trade show, and it was the Espinosa Crema, which I have smoked, and I've been very, very. I was high on it the first time I smoked it. I've actually fallen in love with the Toro Grande as of late. I can't find the Churchills actually in Charlotte right now, which is
Really,
another side.
that's my favorite size. I thought the 7x48 was really. I thought that's where the blend was the best. I thought, but the Toro Grande was a strong second, and I'm not a and that goes against two of my things. I'm not a Connecticut smoker, and I'm not a big ring smoker. But we wanted to do something, we wanted to do something different, and that's the direction we went in with that Connecticut.
Dave, have you smoked that cigar yet?
No, I haven't. I've just had, I guess out of the new releases, I've had the Alpha Dog. Is the one
I've got a little package. I've got a little package that. Hold on, don't edit that. I've got a little package for Dave, and so we're gonna have to send Dave some stuff. We're gonna hide it under the guise of like cornmeal or something, so he doesn't. 97% tax he has to pay in Australia. I think the FDA took their steps after watching what Australia does. Oh my God, you poor guys! That's crazy.
Yeah, so Dave orders some cigars and he sends them to me because I can't ship them to Australia, and then I send them to Dave. And it's amazing how long sometimes these packages take. One time I sent it, they came within 9 days, but I know I sent one to him about 4 weeks ago, and he told me, it was held up in customs right now. Huh. And there's no secret. When we send them, we have to fill out a customs form. I put everything that's on the form out there. There's because they do open the cigars. They open the packages there, right?
Yeah, they open them up, and I'd rather pay the duty than have someone send me a letter that they filled out a false customs form or something.
Yeah. So I mean, it goes through. It's on the outside of the package. Our postal service sees it, and so we can send it. We're not sending it FedEx, and so certainly we do that. But back to the cigar. So the crema, Hector. Tell us what. I mean, Lazona had done a Connecticut. There was a Lazona Connecticut you guys have, but this was more of your premium offering.
The Lazona Connecticut was the very first release, one of the very first releases. That was something that Eric worked on with Carlos, because once they established the factory, they had to have a cigar, and they went with a Habano blend, a Connecticut blend, and then the Espinosa, the first Espinosa Habano. That cigar. It's a very smokable cigar. I mean, you can give that cigar to anybody. And as a matter of fact, I'm not mistaken, I think Dojo actually gave that cigar like Cigar of the Year 4 or 5 years ago when they first came out. They really, really loved that Connecticut, and the price was right on that Connecticut. What we wanted to do now is we were bringing the 601 Black back, and I wanted to do an Espinosa Connecticut, something a little more complex, a little bit more a gateway cigar, like I told you when we talked about it here. I wanted a cigar because a lot of guys go to these events and they tell Fernie and they tell Eric and they tell Junior, what do you have that's mild? Well, we don't have anything mild, and even the crema is not mild, but it's a dead medium. It's right in the range, in the wheelhouse for a medium cigar. So I wanted to have a lot of flavor, but I didn't want it to have any of those other Espinosa 601, traits where it bit, and it may have been too strong. I really wanted to go with that. And I think it does a good job because it really cuts out that bitterness that you can sometimes get when smoking a Connecticut.
Yeah, I'll definitely concur with that as well. And, I think I mentioned to Hector that, my oldest son, Timothy, he's working in retail, and he started working in retail probably about a month and a half ago, and he started to really, I'd say, accelerate his cigar smoking. He doesn't probably smoke as much as me, but when he's in the shop, he smokes. And you have to. And he's trying to, and what he's trying to do, and he did it on his own. I give him credit. He's trying to smoke obviously the regular stuff not the uber limited stuff, but he's trying to get familiar with the regular stuff that's in the shop, and the crema happened to be one of them. And he has smoked that, and I think it's done that gateway cigar for him. He had some bad experiences with some bitter Connecticut's. He had told me that he was resistant on the Connecticut's because he felt he was getting bitterness a lot. And with that one, and he smoked the Toro Grande as well, and it was exactly what you said.
Thank you. We're very happy with the Connecticut. And Eric's not a Connecticut smoker either. So don't think that once we came up with that blend, it was, are we going to do this or we're not going to do this? Yeah, no, we got to do it. We got to do it. It's got to be part of the portfolio. We got to do it. There's always trepidation. I mean, you're known for a certain type of cigar. You're known for a certain, for a certain flavor profile, and it was a little out of the ordinary. But so far we've been very successful with it, and the reviews that we've got have been very, very good, very good.
Yeah, it's like I said, it is a I actually found the Toro Grande a little more dialed back compared to the Churchill, but I think you'd expect that with the bigger. I think in that case.
Yes, sir. I agree.
Yep. And I loved what you kind of did with that cigar is I love you about a year or two, actually 2 years ago when you came out with L'Orange, you went to this new design, this Espinosa logo, and I noticed now you've been carrying that over to all the other new brands most of the new brands you're coming out with right now.
Anthony did a really nice job. Anthony did a really nice job with that band. I like it. It's I think it's classy. It's not ostentatious. It's not gaudy. Everybody here's learned, how I've learned to work with tobacco. He's learned, what designs work, and it's a nice footprint for us. It's a nice recognizable thing for us. And we've gone, you'll see as all the new releases start to become more available, the color combinations on that new Espinosa band really pop. I'm really excited. I'm really excited about that. And, I think it's a good look for us. It kind of it looks good. You know how it is. Guys go into the humidor, and if the guy doesn't know what he's smoking, and if you don't have a guy who's working at the cigar store who knows what he's doing, if he's just selling cigars instead of being a good cigar clerk, it's whatever your eye attracts you to. Oh look, hey, that's a nice looking band. That's so. We're very happy with that. We're very happy with the design.
Absolutely. Now you came out with 3 sizes now, and there's another 3 sizes that are going to be hitting the market soon, or more widespread in the market. Yeah,
we're going to have a Bellicoso. We're going to have a 6x52 in the. We're going to have a round Toro, and I think we're going to do a box press as well. I have to go back. I'm telling you, so many things came out. We're doing a Churchill. We're doing a Churchill and a box press, and the Bellicoso is going to be box press as well. So we're doing so many things. I swear my head is. I'm beginning to think that maybe I have onsets Alzheimer's. There's just so much going on there. I can't remember, and then I have that annoying day job that kind of gets in the way. So trying to get rid of that one to concentrate on this. Hopefully, God willing.
Absolutely. You mentioned a good point about the box pressing, and I've noticed this is becoming something you're doing across the lines now. Is you're introducing both rounded options and box press, and I think to the extent you guys are doing it right now, you guys are kind of taking a lead on that. You see it with some companies, but I'm seeing this. You did it with Murcielago, Habano, Laranja. Now you're saying the Connecticut. So you've had a lot that you're doing as far as, which I think is a great option.
We just want to give you options. We want to give you variety. We also, we also trying to introduce some sizes that. In some of the older stuff, the blue will now come out we're coming out with a short Churchill in the blue. We're coming out with a short Churchill in the green. We're trying to vary some of the stuff. So if this is not your, not all stores are the same. There are stores that sell strictly Lanceros. There are stores that are big ring stores. My home store here in Miami that you met me at, the Caribbean, the boutiquiest of the boutique here in Miami. No, they're not 60 ring guys. They're not big ring guys. There you're going to find guys who they want to smoke Coronas and they want to smoke Lanceros, and the perfect size for those guys is 6x48, which to me is the perfect size. That is my.
Agree. I think I know you and I have talked. You guys have really. That short Churchill, I think, really took off at the show, and I think you guys were one of the ones that kind of, I want to say, started that trend or brought that trend kind of to the limelight this year. Because I saw a lot of short Churchills at the show this year.
We're very humble here. I mean, believe it or not, even though we rag on each other and we talk kind of a lot of crap here among ourselves, we're humble about a lot of things. But one thing we did notice is that that 6.5x48, that 6x48, that wasn't very popular 2 years ago, and the the Laranja may have started a trend, where we would be, we don't want to be that guy and say we started, but I think that, if we didn't start it, we were definitely on the ground floor.
Absolutely. Now, the other cigar at Lazona Palooza that I had a chance to smoke, I actually had a chance to smoke a few options of it. It was actually a cigar that all the attendees at Lazona Palooza got to basically vote on what would be the blend, and that's the Alpha Dog. Why don't you tell us a little about that cigar?
Well, the Alpha Dog is, believe it or not, and you've met Eric and you've known Eric for years now. He's a persona. He's an id. He's an id kind of guy. But we have been jacking him up for maybe 7 or 8 months. Bro, we got to come out with a cigar with your face on it. The Alpha Dog thing. We're kind of pushing. We're pushing that whole thought. That hey, you're the Alpha Dog. You tell us you're the Alpha Dog. Let's be the Alpha Dog. Let's do something really out there, something scandalous. So we agreed in principle that we were going to do an Alpha Dog cigar. It was going to be an event-only cigar. And then, unfortunately, after we had the Lazona Palooza, we had the people we had the people go through the cigars, taste them, vote on the cigar they liked the most, vote on the packaging. Then these knuckleheads came out with their deeming rules, and then we had to change the game. We had to go, well, you know what? This cigar is too good to just make it an event-only cigar. Plus, who knows what other parameters are going to come down the line when it comes to event-only cigars and smoke. So let's just make it a production cigar. Eric was very happy with that, and that's the way we went. And I'll tell you what, the cigar's done very well. We don't have any more. It came in and it's gone, and now we're waiting. It's an awful problem to have, but I'm sure it's an awful, and we're not happy about it. The fact that we're at times we find ourselves that we're low on this, we're low on that, but I'm sure there are a lot of manufacturers who wish they had that problem.
Absolutely, it's a good problem to have. Dave, I know I've been kind of stealing a lot of the conversation here. I want to give you a chance to ask some questions as well.
No, thanks. I mean, I was just writing some notes, listening. The first thing, this is more of a comment, but Hector, I just read that they're releasing some early Smiths demos, so be on the lookout for some early Smiths demos.
Hey, you want me to? I can give you a little wood right now. I read something 2 days ago that Johnny Marr had met with Morrissey in a pub a few years back, and they actually discussed a reunion.
Oh.
And but nothing has come of it since then. And it seems that that the Moz was open to it, but then the Moz being the Moz, he back on tour, and maybe somebody he may have smelled meat or something and lost his mind and changed it again. He is the epitome. If he was an animal, he'd be a cat. He's just the epitome of not caring about anything else. I mean, I told you the story. I bought tickets to see him 3 times, and he canceled 3 times. I finally got to see him after I turned 40 years old. I had to be the oldest guy at the show. I mean, because a lot of young kids are into the Smiths now, which is great, But it would not be the Police reunion tour, but it wouldn't be Pink Floyd's reunion tour. It definitely wouldn't be the Who's or the Stones or anything, but it would be a great reunion tour. And I know that I would do what I haven't done in 30 years. If I had to stand in line for tickets, man, I'd stand in line for tickets.
That's for all the listeners out there, that's a preview of what you're going to get when Hector comes back on for the Smith show. That's just a little taste.
Oh, we're doing the Smith show? Outstanding. But that one has to be more than an hour long. Has to be. Oh, yeah. You have to do an hour on the Smiths and then an hour on Morrissey.
Well, we'll sort it out. But cigar-wise, I want to ask you this because you guys put together a lot of wonderful exclusives, like you're talking about the Cream City and stuff. What's sort of your philosophy around putting together an exclusive cigar? Like, what's that process? Do they approach you? Do you approach them? What's that process like?
I mean, for those who don't know, and I know Coop though, and maybe we haven't spoken about it. I am the hand of the king here, and I enjoy that. I enjoy being his right hand man. His son is in the wings. I would say within 4 or 5 years, his son will have a very, very prominent role. And the kid is very, very talented, and he knows the industry. He's only 23 years old. I mean, the kid's super knowledgeable. In the meanwhile, I am the counselor. I'm his right hand man. I'm what he needs. I am very happy being I don't want to be the guy. I like being the guy comes to. So when anybody wants to do a blend, a line extension, a specialty line extension for a store or a new store exclusive, everything goes through Eric. And then Eric will sit and we'll talk, and he goes, all right, it's going to be a store exclusive, but let's make it something unique, or for instance, what we did for Paul in the Cream City, he wanted a cigar that wasn't, that was made by us, but necessarily wasn't an Espinosa cigar, something that tastes a little bit unique. Then there was George at Stogie's who wanted a line extension on Laranja, and that store is that's the Lancero King in Texas, and the Lancero was born, and it's doing great. So everything goes through him, and we follow pretty much what his we talk about it, but we have a plan as to what we're going to do. We just don't go nilly-willy, and we sure just don't say, well, let's see what we have in the closet. We don't do that. We don't have that. Not only do we not do that, even if we had that luxury, I don't think it's something that Eric would want to do.
No, and I was just thinking of another cigar because Will and I are big Warhead 2 fans. And I love that cigar. I hunt them down to try and find who else has them. But can you just talk a little bit about that Warhead line and sort of, because I know the Warhead 3 will be coming out, and just a little bit about, what led to the Warhead, yeah.
When we were working in our first office that Coop never got a chance to see it, we worked in an 800
No, I was actually there. I actually went there.
All right, we had an 800 square foot office, and it was the three of us and our bookkeeper. And we moved in on February. The Espinosa Cigars launched. When I say launched, he handed me the key, February 7th. That's the day that we had an empty warehouse. This is going to be Espinosa Cigars. We're going to move forward from here. We were 2 months, maybe 3 months after moving in, we already were too big for that warehouse space. So Eric will tell you that if it was up to us, we would release a new cigar every month, because we're fans. We're geeky cigar nerds. We really are. His kid, myself, Anthony, and Eric, not so much, because he looks at all the other, he looks at the cost and all the other preparations. Not us. We want to go head first into this size and this new blend. So we wanted to do something. I remember it was right around the time. It was probably around April, and I kept looking at D-Day. I go, we should do something where we do something to honor the, I'm a veteran, and we were still in the midst of as we are now, still involved in Iraq, and a lot of the soldiers it's a big deal, and the military theme was huge for us. So I said, what, let's come out with something, a La Bomba, which La Bomba had a lot of legs at the time, and let's make it a little stronger. Let's make it a little different. So what we did, we went with the La Bomba blend. We put a broadleaf on it. And then we were looking for an art, what kind of art would we put on it? And I remember that Warhead was a great name, and finding the name is the hardest part. Making a cigar, the easiest part of making a cigar is making the cigar. Naming it, packaging, that's the hard part. So we sat there and we came up with a name, and then we thought, it would be great using the bomb, the whole idea that it's based on La Bomba, the bomb. We did a bomb as a footer band, and then we used some of that World War II nose art. And that's where we, if you look at one of the first bands, all the bands, I think they'll say Kilroy was here, and they look like they used to paint the bombs that were dropped on the Axis powers, and and some of the nose art that was drawn on the fighters and on the bombers and during that time frame. So that's how we ended up with that cigar.
No, it's great, and I think like with the Alpha Dog, with the Warhead 2, I'd be interested to hear, your sort of process with this. There's a great balance between flavor, strength, and body. Like, they're all balanced really well. So I guess for me, like, everything works well together, so you're not overpowered by one element. Like, when blending cigars, is it difficult to sort of reach that balance, or how do you find trying to get to that?
Well, the most important thing for me, remember, I'm still, I'm very uncomfortable when, accolades really make me a little uncomfortable, I don't want to be forgotten in the whole process, but accolades still make me a little uncomfortable. So the most important thing I thought was not necessarily to know every single tobacco out there or every single type of tobacco, or kind of be familiar with what's accessible to us at the time, since we were very small. And the most important thing, make something that he likes, because it's going to have his name on it. So I'm kind of in his wheelhouse on what he likes and what, people think that he only smokes these chest breakers, these heartbreaking. He doesn't. You'll never see him smoke a La Bomba. He likes a particular spice note. He likes it to have a lot of flavor. He likes it that when you retrohale, because he's a retrohaler, he wants it to sting the nostrils. But he also doesn't want to smoke the cigar and then, be lying on the couch useless for half an hour afterwards. I mean, some of the cigars that we've made that are stronger than the cigars that are part of our line, like the Protocol and the Chinese Finger Trap, which was a great story. The Chinese Finger Trap, he calls me and he goes, "This cigar that you sent Moya, this is unsmokable." I go, "Is it bad?" He goes, "No, it's delicious. It's just unsmokable. I'm gnarly smoking this cigar." And then I told him the backstory, that the idea behind that was that I wanted to kill Danny Moya. Danny Moya had me crazy. He had me crazy. More power, more power. He's like Tim Allen, just the more power thing and the more power thing. So I tried to kill him. And then, subconsciously, Juan Cancel also. That's why. So the Protocol is that four-leaf Hero blend, strong, but we would never do that. That's not going to be something he was going to put his name on it, but we'll make it for somebody else. And it's getting great recognition. That's great for the factory. But the most important thing was learning what he likes, and obviously variety. We don't want none of our cigars to taste the same. And you'll hear that from a lot of manufacturers. You'll hear smokers and people in the industry say, "Oh, it's another one of this guy's cigars." We don't want to be that. We don't want to go that route.
No,
Hector,
I mean, I wish. Oh,
go ahead, Dave.
sorry, Will.
No, go ahead, Dave.
I was just gonna say, I wish I could make you more comfortable and say bad things about your cigars, but they're I mean, the samplers I've had, and you were saying before, like down at the Crema, you have a very diverse range. Like everything flavor, they all just knock it out of the park. I mean, they're extremely high quality. I recommend people just grab a sampler of just, Espinosa.
But let me tell you, for every one that you had, there were 4 or 5 that didn't make it. And it's not like those 4 or 5 were just, we'll put those aside and they'll become this and they'll become that. No, it's just these weren't good. Or I mean, they were good, but they weren't good enough. So, every time that we do a product, we don't go into the vault. We go back to the drawing board. What were you going to say, Coop? I'm sorry. I thought you were.
No, that's okay. I know we have a little, Dave being a little further, it's sometimes a little tough to get the timing, so apologize to everybody. So Hector, as far as what you're doing in the factory, though, and I've said this to you, and I'm not just saying this because I know you, but what you've done with Candela this year has been, I think, a big story. You've done 2 blends this year that have hit the market. One was for Moya Ruiz, which was the pickled juice, and then the other one is the new Backroom series, the Wasabi. Why don't you talk a little about what you've done with Candela? Because you've done some unique things.
I wanted to do Candela 2 years ago. But, a lot of the things, and Eric will tell you, a lot of the things that we've done, it's, these ideas, some of these new things, these unique things are me being in Nicaragua and me getting a wild hair and making a phone call and having somebody facilitate something for us. And I really wanted to work with Candela because I had some Candelas, and pride-wise, I said, I think I can do this. I can make a Candela cigar. So I tried every single Candela, and I found 2 that were superior. And I wanted mine to be based, I wanted my cigar to at least be as good as these 2 other cigars that I had tried. So as chance would have it, when I came back from Nicaragua, I had 3 blends of Candela. I made 5 or 6 in Nicaragua. I smoked some while I was there, and they weren't good, so I left them. But the other 3 came back. I see Danny at the show. Danny pulls me aside, and I got to give Moya credit. Moya's the one who, I talked to Eric about it. He was hesitant. And Moya pushed the idea on Eric and pushed it, and I think he either wore him down or Eric's like, all right, just go ahead and do it, and, you're just like run out into traffic, and you're going to get hit by a car, and then I'm going to tell you that you shouldn't have done it. So, when the releases came out, when the blends came out, when Danny talked to me about that, I sent him 2 of the blends. The one that I liked the most, I did not send because that's the one I wanted for me, because I figured if Pickle Juice succeeded, we could do one right afterwards. And that's what happened. I sent that Candela to Danny. Danny fell in love with it. The other one was okay, but it was too grassy. I thought the Pickle Juice was good, and I thought that the Wasabi, I don't want to say it's better. It's just different because it's, first of all, it's box press, so there's a little different. Everything is different about the cigar. Just think the pressing and the compactness of the cigar. It just a little more flavorful. Not as strong, I think, as the pickle juice. And I just wanted to make a good candela. For my own resume, for my own pride, I just wanted to make a good candela, and I'm happy with it. The pickle juice I thought did very well. I mean, I think Coop, you liked it. Some people might have found it too strong, but then again, I usually some people may have found it too strong and said it wasn't your regular candela or it wasn't the candela that was expected. But I never recall seeing anywhere that a candela had to be a particular type of cigar, had to have a particular flavor profile. And sometimes you just don't have your palate's just not experienced enough or to enjoy a good cigar. So the pickle juice did well. I was very happy with it, and as I was told a couple of days after the pickle juice came out, because I was you get a little sensitive sometimes, and how many were made? I said this many. How many do you have left? None. So that's a success. That's the way I looked at it.
Yeah, in fact, Cancel was looking for one. He was telling me the story last week on the show, and he couldn't get one, so he actually lit up a pickle.
Well, Cancel's a special child. Juan is a special child. You know what? There's no gray area with Juan. You either love him or you hate him. And believe it or not, I'm very fond of him because very few guys say they're going to do something, and you know what? They did it. Whether and he banged his head 1,000 times doing it. He got we had to correct him a whole bunch of times. We had to kind of push him in the right direction. But Juan, Juan and Bill, his partner, and their other partner Bill, they've been successful, and it's a testament to the fact that there are people who want to be in this business and want to be in this industry, and not just to make money, but to actually make a good product.
Absolutely. Yeah, they did a great job. I mean, you guys all did. I mean, so you've done, and I want to kind of hit this segment. The other one I want to talk about, and it's a line you're producing, but you've done now several releases for Cornelius and Anthony right now, and they've been great. I mean, I've had now 2 of the releases from them, and I've had the Daddy Mac and I've had the Venganza. There were just 2. That Venganza is, I think, one of the strongest cigars you guys have come out with of Glazzono. You want to talk about powerhouse? That's a powerhouse that came out.
Yeah, that's the Venganza. The Venganza is I love the Venganza. Personally, that's a cigar. That was like my cigar. I made that on 2 or 3 occasions where I made some bundles, had some bundles made for me because I like that cigar. I like the spice note on the cigar. I find the cigar very strong. And, I like that. And the Daddy Mac, the Daddy Mac was a cigar I smoked just a couple of days ago for the Cigars of the Week segment. So I'm familiar with that. But I'll tell you that that company, it's what they're doing starts at the top. First of all, the guy who's run, Stephen Bailey, his family's been in the tobacco industry for a very long time. He's a very astute guy. And he's put together a nice team. He has Courtney Smith there with him, and they've got some good direction, and they know what they want to do. And the story of how Daddy Mac came, their first cigar was made elsewhere, but Eric meets him at the show in New Orleans, and I had a cigar that I handed you. I had a little cigar that with a little white band on it that I took maybe a bundle because I wanted the guys who I respect their palate. And I respect their opinion to try it, just to see that it wasn't me that fell in love with something that you make, because that happens a lot to us, You make this and, this is great, and then somebody breaks your heart and says, well, no, it's not. So I gave him one, and, I gave one to, I think, the guys from Dojo, and I think Skip came by, and I gave Skip one, and, I was very, very tight with them. So Eric needed some cigars, because he was going to go have dinner, so I gave him a few, and while Eric is talking to this guy, to Stephen, he gives him one, and he loved it. And, Eric comes back later on that night or the next day, and he says, hey, that cigar that you have, do you have any left? I said, yeah. He goes, well, I'm going to need it because we're going to make that for, I go, what do you mean you're going to make that for somebody else? That was going to be our first, that was going to be a backroom series cigar. I really love that cigar. But you gotta love them. Eric's a salesman at heart, and it's about getting the name out there and making good cigar, and having a guy who's a Dolphin fan and Stephen Bailey, and we're all suffering Dolphin fans, so we all had something to hold on to, and next thing you know, Doral became Daddy Mac, and then Daddy Mac led to Venganza, and Venganza was an error on my part because she wanted some blends. Courtney asked me for some blends for this next project, and I took some cigars out of the wrong bag, and I sent it to her, and she goes, "We want this cigar," and I'm like, "Well, how the hell did you get that cigar?" I got it. Did I send you that? And she goes, "Yeah." So that was twice that they banged me up already with with cigars that I wanted. But you know what? They're good people, and I like what they're doing, and it's a very nice, clean line. It's I just like everything about what those guys are doing.
Me too. I think they're real. I agree.
We have a third one coming out, Meridian, which I think is gonna surprise a lot of people. That's a very, very good cigar.
Absolutely. Dave, do you have any more questions?
No, I'm good. I'm looking forward to some of the other segments.
Yep. So Hector, anything else you want to tell from the Espinosa or La Zona end before we kind of go to break?
Just keep your eyes out. Keep looking. We're our footprint's getting bigger every day. We've got 9 lounges. Eric's traveling a lot. I don't think he's traveled this much ever. Fernando's traveling. I think soon, the Prodigy will be traveling as well. Hell, I think I'm going on tour next year. I'm going to do like a 4 or 5 store tour, just because I know that I need to learn to modify my people skills a little bit. So I think I'll be going out to do a couple of events as well. And we've expanded not just the Espinosa line, we've expanded across the board. We had three warheads coming out. The 601 line we went 5 deep for retail. The Espinosa line was also extended, plus the Backroom series, which is personally my baby. That's the one I really pushed for that, and I was really wanted that to happen. We have a lot of interesting cigars coming out in that line, plus the Wasabi that you had a chance to rate and review, and my personal one, which is kind of a dig at the whole industry, the Emperor's New Clothes, which you may see, you'll probably see sometime next year. Our biggest problem, as always, is we have a lot of we have a huge desire to make cigars. We're trying to expand our presence. We have a lot of people wanting our cigars, but we're constrained. We're constrained by the size of the factory. But you know what? We're working. We're doing everything we can. And luckily, the people who are loyal to us, who are fans of the brand, understand that they'd rather wait a little while than to get a cigar that's not right and it's subpar, and we're not going to do that. I can't tell you how many times we've extended things at our own at our own expense just because we need to make sure that they're right.
Absolutely. And I can attest to that as well. You guys have not rushed anything to market by any means. And that's a great track record. Espinosa's going on 5 years, right? So I mean, it's been a great run.
February 7th will be 5 years.
Amazing. Anyway, well, we're gonna have plenty more. We're gonna be talking plenty more. There's a few in our next couple of segments. So, with that, we will take a short break. We'll be back with our Debonair Ideal. So stay tuned.